Hello, hello. Yo, I can't see your screen yet for some reason, but I can hear you. Okay, I have an idea. Don't go off the live show, just like close Instagram and come back. Like press your home button and come back. I think it should work. Yes. Dude, after doing this for 22 days,
After
I've learned all the tips and tricks.
after 100 people, right? So all I've been doing this. I've been like exiting live chats, but that hack is really good to know.
Right? How's it going, man?
It's
How's your day
amazing.
been?
Ah man, it's been amazing. I just finished. It feels good to work after a long time. So I just finished two sessions. I'm doing the session called Planning for the Unpredictable. So I had one session from 10 to 11 in the morning with the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce. Then I had another session with MAS, their plant called Linea Aqua. So it was really great, man, to get back in because that's what I'm used to, right? You know, talking to people and being around them and stuff like that. So when this shit hits, you figure out ways to ground yourself. Yeah. How have you?
Absolutely.
So you and I have never actually met, but following the little interaction, I went and I took a look at your stuff, and man, it is a really, really impressive story.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you so much. Just trying to make a difference in small ways, you know. But let's get started, man. Like you're a busy man. I don't want to take a lot of your time. But thank you so much for making the time, Fahad. You are a certified trainer, compeer, and speaker. You have been doing this for quite some time. You have a YouTube that you kickstarted with everything going on as well, which is you're doing pretty cool things with that as well. But yeah, man, just like excited to have you on and have a chat because I feel like we will have very interesting conversations about certain topics. But before we get started, man, let's like dig into you. Like, how did you come to be? Who is Fahad today?
Oh man, that's an interesting sort. Who I am today is kind of by accident because my original qualification is in management accounting, CIMA. Because you know, back when I was growing up, everybody was doing it, and so my parents said, "Hey, you go do this." And I didn't know jack shit about what I wanted with my life, so I decided to go do it. And it was awful. I sucked at it, man. I failed that finance paper 3 times, and it was terrible. And then I wanted this. I wanted the stage. I was a really shy person. I couldn't speak to more than 3 people at a time. So I decided the best place was radio. So I wanted to be a radio presenter, but when I went in for like the interviews and stuff, you know, son, you're going to be just, you can be a news reader. I was like, fine, man, I'm going to take that. So then I was a newsreader on radio for the longest time and I loved it. I was like, this is amazing. Because, you know, what hit me the most was I could talk to thousands of people, but I didn't need to meet anybody, right? Until one day, I got fired from that job. Well, I got suspended without pay, which is like fired. So I'm like, shit.
Pretty much the
And
same
then the
thing.
entire, yeah, pretty much. And then I was like, what am I going to do? And back then, man, I was huge. I was about 105 kg. I had long hair. I looked very different to how I look now. And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go try and put this qualification to test. And I went into all these big corporates for like interviews, and they were like, yeah, no, it's not gonna work because unknown to me, while the rest of the people were doing the studies, they were also working part time while I was wasting my life at a radio station. So then, you know, I worked at an ad agency for about a year in their publications. Nothing sort of fit, you know, that nothing just this thing until one day I walked into this company. I saw an ad in the papers and it seemed interesting. So I just went for the interview and it turns out they were a training company. I had no clue what training meant. I had no clue what comparing meant. I had no clue. But then that whole journey started and then I just discovered this thing, man. Like, you know, it was a method of dealing with all of my insecurities, all of the issues that I had in my head. It was a coping mechanism because I could become somebody else. And that was profoundly amazing to me because, like, of course, we all deal with shit in varying degrees, and a lot of us tend to become victim to it, not because of our own fault, but because that's how the circumstances turn out. But few of us have that opportunity externally to become somebody else. And for a while, I thought that, what am I doing? Am I running away from stuff? Am I pretending? But then it sort of becomes two things, right? It's why the superheroes have disguises, right? You can be whoever you want to be, and if you be that long enough, then you can be that permanently if that makes you happy. So who I am now is, a lot of people use this thing, motivational speaker. I hate that, man, because what I constantly think is, I think that I don't know your story. I don't know where you've come from. I don't know the shitstorm that you've been through. How the hell can I come out of nowhere and tell you, hey, do these things, follow these 3 steps. You're going to be, you can sort of, I can't, right? But what I can do is introduce perspectives and say, hey, how about you look at this situation you're dealing with from here? And let's just explore that, see what it sounds like. And that's what I prefer to do. So, even I write little quotes on Instagram, and I make it a point to say these aren't motivational quotes. These are just merely shit to think about. Think makes sense to you, fine. Doesn't make sense, fine. It's nothing's preachy here. We're all dealing with shit.
Absolutely, man. And I love that, dude. I love that you have like sort of a discovery story in a sense. And I want to talk about that for a second. So there's a few things that I want to pick on based on what you just said, but one of the things I want to pick on is social and cultural stigma. Like, we're told to do certain things and grow up a certain way, right? I've had a single mom all my life. She's been very supportive of my decisions and what I want to do. But the thing is, it's not the case with everyone in Sri Lanka. There's a lot of parents who want you to grow up a certain way, do SEMA, do a doctorate, become a lawyer, etc., etc. But you basically tried that, but you also figured out that that's not what you wanted to do, right? But your trajectory was kind of like weirdly, it aligned in a sense. But there are people who know what they want to do. They know what they want to pursue in terms of a passion, but their parents don't see it right away, right? And I've asked this question from several other guests, but it's very interesting to get your input as well. So if you had to, like, again, it's interesting that you said you don't know the backstories, you don't know where they come from. But if you had a one-on-one with someone who's very passionate about something and they wanted to pursue it, but the parents are like, no, what would you tell them?
For me, it's very simple, because I would ask this question. In order to make a decision, there are factors, right? And for the decision, you give a certain amount of importance to certain of those factors. In a South Asian context, we traditionally give a lot of importance to the opinion of our parents, right? Whether it's about choosing a life partner, your career, various choices you're going to make. We feel that it's a sense of obligation to our parents. We feel that it's a sense of owing to our parents. We feel it'll make them happy if we do things that they approve of or they guide us in. But there's a bigger thing here that we're completely ignoring, right? That the bigger question on, would your parents be happy knowing that you did what they wanted you to do, and then they would die peaceful, because everybody dies, but then you would go through life thinking, oh man, I hate my life, but at least I made my mom happy, right? That gives you a certain amount of satisfaction, but is it sustainable? Will you start to resent them at some point in time? Will you start to resent yourself at some point in time? These are questions we don't have the answers for now. Therefore, we can't answer them based on how we will make us feel in the future. So making your parents happy and going with their approvals or decisions is temporarily satisfying. Maybe in the longer term, it'll dull your senses into say, I guess this is the best I could do. But just ask yourself this, right? You have a child, the baby is born, you want the baby to have everything possible in the world. And I guarantee the most primary goal that you want that child to be is happy. And the way you perceive in providing this happiness is giving them everything they need, right? You're hungry, I'll give you food. You're thirsty, I'll give you something to drink. You give them things they need. Now comprehend that the need that they have to fulfill their passion or go on their path is also a need. Now, when a parent decides, I know better than you, I know what you want, I've seen how the world works, listen to me, probably right, but it isn't satisfying that need of that person. So I think you've got to, going back to the point of establishing importance, for me, of course, what my parents think and feel and, is important, But at the same time, how I perceive my purpose to the world, my contribution, my operation is also equally important. So I've got to make a call. I've got to make a call, and that's the call that I sort of made.
Absolutely, man. I think sustainability is such a good word because one of the biggest examples that I have in my head is one of my friends that I met at a speaking event. I was running a workshop with another colleague, and she and I got to having a heart to heart, and she was telling me how she came from Pakistan, but she actually left because she was running away from what her dad was forcing her to do. Her dad wanted her to pursue something else. But she wanted to help women who are struggling with figuring out how to manage their finance, which is all what her company is about. It's called Money Go. And she was saying that when her dad got really sick, she used to go back and forth. And then in his last days, he would say, I wasted so much time fighting with you about what I wanted you to do that I couldn't actually spend these precious moments with you instead. And it's about, yes, you have to make your parents happy, but what I figured out as well is my mom has been unhappy with certain decisions in my life, obviously. But the thing is, she is comfortable.
It's a prerequisite to be a parent.
Oh, dude, absolutely. It's like one of those checklists, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But now she's just like, my son, he's happy doing what he's doing and all those things. So they come around. That turnaround time is different from parent to parent. But the thing is, what I also say is, yes, I understand that there are moments or situations in your life you can't do that. You have to live under your parents' house and income. You have to work on this goal that they've set up for you. But don't let go of your passion. Hold on to it. If it's drawing, hold on to it. If it's singing, hold on to it. We live in this beautiful ecosystem of technology that we can use, and we can foster these passions to make it something in your life. Hold on to it to an extent where you can start proving your parents, saying, "Oh, I got all these clients now. I have MAS Linear Echo under me. I'm working for the Commonwealth as well." Like so many examples that you can use, and they're like, "Oh, okay, this is actually something that you can do," and then that instills confidence in your parents as well. And then they're just like, "Okay, I'll come on board. I'll come on board. It's not the Titanic. It's not a sinking ship. Like you are actually floating. Like I can do this." What do you think about that?
All of which I agree with. I'm going to add some stuff because we've also got to be ready to deal with the emotional blackmail, the I told you so's when things go south, because things will go south, right? And you've got to be mentally ready for that. So if you're going to say, no, this is what I want to do, it can't be solely with, I'll prove to you. It also has to be with, I am going to fuck up. I'm going to mess up, right? And I know that you're going to say these things to me, but I'm going to be ready to stand my ground. A lot of people assume, like people are generally optimistic when they go into a lot of things because they are fully convinced that their idea is successful, and sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, and you will fail. Now, in situations like that, do you have enough of a backup emotionally, financially, presence-wise, validation-wise, in order to be able to say, you know what, I'm just going to keep going. The third aspect of this is, are you also just a stubborn dickwad, or are you grounded enough to say, hey, maybe this is not it? Like, see, there's no handbook for this, man. Like, there's no handbook. And from person to person, situation to situation, it's going to differ, it's going to change. But what's important is that internal sort of compass that tells you, are you doing things in line with your personal values? Because the brutally honest truth is, everybody around you can and will move on. Sometimes not out of choice, because life happens, death happens, movement happens. But the only person you're guaranteed to be with until you die is yourself. Now, that's like brutal honesty, because a lot of people are like, no, but my parents, yes, they gave birth to you. But as a living being to another living being, there is no ownership. It's just a birth or relationship related responsibility. So based on that, you need to comprehend that as a Homo sapien, this is as like, taking emotion away from it, just logicalizing it completely. You are responsible for, like, nobody's going to come and breathe oxygen into your mouth, right? You have to breathe it in. Unless you're fully decapacitated, then they'll have the machine for you. But it's to understand that every cell in your body is functioning to keep you alive. So your thoughts should also be in line with that shit, man. It's not about I owe people. if you start living like that, the detestment or the, oh, I hate you for making me do this, is just going to come bite you in the ass.
Absolutely, man. And that's going to run your thought process and your whole. It's going to take a lot of your energy, like your mental energy. Just hating the fact that you chose this path. So yeah,
And
man.
for
Thank you so
what?
much for adding. And for what? Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I also want to touch on another thing that you said during your story. So you said that you had insecurity based on how you were treated and what you went through. I have major insecurity complex. That's where most of my mental health stems from, and that's why I have difficult days. Like today was an extremely difficult day to like get myself to do things. Right? How did you personally? Because like when I look at you, right? You give out such a positive vibe. You give out such confidence. You give out such like, I need to listen to this guy because I will become successful just by listening to him. Is the vibe I get from you, right? And like just
Woohoo.
like it looks like you're staring into my damn soul, man. But like, here's the thing, right? You're dealing with your own shit too, right? And I want to know when you went through that then, and also these days, how have you gotten better at dealing with things, or have you gotten better at dealing with things?
Dude, I'll tell you this, right? This might seem supremely childish. However, I've had a great imagination since I was a kid. Imagination in the sense like shit that is like, if say I'm lying down and I need to get up, right? I'm not just getting up. I'm shooting web shooters. I have jet thrusters, and I'm just getting up. So, but in my mind, all this shit is happening, right? I know it's supremely stupid, but
No, it's not, dude. I'm a geek.
when whenever I have something going on, right? I put on that personality that person in front of me needs, that person deserves, right? You think like a bunch of rock stars performing on stage, do you think the fans who pay money and come to their show care that they're having a loose motion? They don't give a flying fuck, man. You think the people care that they're having a bad day? It doesn't. And on the reverse, it's an opportunity for that person to just for a couple of minutes forget the regular shit, just for a couple of minutes be someone else. you know I totally dislike this perception that a lot of people say, be positive all the time. You can do this all the time. You got this all the time. It's like, no, dude, no, that's not life. Sometimes you're an asshole. Sometimes you're messed up. Sometimes you can't get up out of bed. Sometimes, you can't stand the sight of people. And that's reality of who you are as a human being. You don't need to be like, hunky-dory all the time. So what I do is I choose to take on that role. So I psych myself up, man. Like if I have a show, it's I have my playlist of the set of music that I listen to. I listen to Cheesily Hall of Fame by The Script. I listen to The Greatest Show, and I like, this is the greatest show for me. This is the moment. I listen to Pacific Rim Theme by Ramin Djawadi. I just get in the zone where, all right, regular Fahad life is taking a pause right now. Right now, this is something else, man. This is something else. I'm fully aware that after I finish this and all the people go away, I go back to my shitstorm. But for that couple of hours, fuck, dude, it's on a different level. So, to completely level with you, Machang, like I have regular days where like I can't do this. I just crash. I don't gym. I don't get out of bed. I feel sorry for myself. All these thoughts start flooding, and you know the path it takes, right? It goes there, and then I have that sort of terrible tendency where if I'm going down, what I will do is I will go down further. I will listen to the depressing music. I will go and look at all my old. I will write things that makes me feel sorry about myself. I will completely wallow, and nothing anybody says can pull me out of it until I absolutely have to, because I have to work. And in that moment, I kind of look forward to it because it's like, all right, so this is a chance to take off the regular clothes and put on my superhero clothes. And then, just get on with it. So part of it is pretend, part of it is real, but it just consumes, I think the positive and the negative can both consume you. And we all know about how the negative consumes us, but the positive, it's temporary. Negative consumption is temporary. So it's positive, like how the positive consumes is also temporary, but you've just got to go and see where it goes.
Absolutely, man. And I love that. I love that because the thing is, even one day at the gym, I decided to make this statement. Like I decided, okay, I'm going to change my bio and put it as the most positive profile on Instagram. And it's been that way since like last year. But the thing is, here's what I understand of positivity. Positivity is fighting as well, right? Positivity is showing the bad side as well, right? Because I don't be like, oh, it's gonna be okay, guys. Like, no, it's not. You gotta sit with those thoughts. You gotta really, really dig deep. You gotta self-reflect. And sitting with those thoughts are not fun. Like those thoughts are fucking dangerous. They can keep pulling you down, and you won't know when to get back up. But it's just the thing is, if you really want to be better, and if you really want to learn how to deal with your thoughts, your anxiety, your overthinking, your insecurity, all of those things, you need to really sit down with your thoughts. Like that's what I did today. So today I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't fucking get out of bed. So I was just like, fuck it. I'm gonna just be this depressive motion. I have shit to do, but I can put it for tomorrow. I'm gonna be in this depressive part of me right now. Go through those thoughts, and then finally at about like 4:30 my time, which is like an hour before our chat, I was just like, okay, it's done. Sharon, you went through it. Let's go have a shower. Let's fucking kill this talk with Fahad, and let's just do it. But I needed that. It's okay. It's okay to go through that shit. But then it's also important to be like, pick yourself back up, because if you don't pick yourself up, why should anybody else? It has to be you. So yeah, man, thank you so much for adding to that. So I also want to ask, man, like back when you were fighting through all of this and figuring yourself out, and when you want to be a radio host, they didn't give you that, but they gave you a news segment. Did you ever feel like I should have actually just listened to my parents? Like I feel super depressed now, taking a win.
That is something that I will never, ever, ever think. Not just my parents, like that is something I will never think. The only time I regret something is if it was against my value system. Like, man, why did you do that? Like, why did you do that? That gives you that yucky feeling in your stomach, right? Like, that's the only sort of thing that I like. Don't do that again, type of thing. But you see, when I say that, it's not like I'll show them, I'll show you. It's not that. It's that, I know where people's advice comes from. It's from a place of pure love, right? It comes from love and concern. Nobody's giving you advice to say you sort of fuck up in life, right? Everybody is like out of concern. But you have to comprehend to, like, when you sit down with yourself, do I know what I want? Do I know what makes me happy? And a lot of us don't, because it's a continuous journey, right? So we see people who are doing certain things and we assume if I do those things, I will also be happy. Maybe yes, maybe no, if you're a lucky sod. But the questions that you need to talk back to your parents is like, you're telling me these things because of this, right? You're telling me these things because of this stability, this future planning, these sort of things, right? So what if I do these things to get to the same outcome? Because this is what I want. And then they will say, yeah, but we know better than you. We know these things. And then you're like, yes, but at the same time, maybe there's another way. I know sometimes talking with parents is like arguing with brick walls, because they're like, that power balance is just crazy, right? But that's where it comes to the importance of the factor that you give to that decision. In the South Asian context, it's supremely difficult. So for me, I'd never look back at someone's thing and say, I should have listened, because when they tell me something, it doesn't work all the time, but I try my best to evaluate it on merit. Like, is there something here that I'm missing out on because I'm being a stubborn asshole, right? Like, is there something here? Like, just evaluate it as much as possible and then choose to accept or ignore one of the two. But don't look at it in hindsight. Bloody hell, I should have thought about it. Then you're the bloody idiot. Then you shouldn't be making your decisions. Other people should be telling you what to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, amazing. And the thing is, what I want to branch into from there is, one of the questions that did come in was, how do you deal with overthinking? So I want to take this back and add some context to it, where I have never been the biggest overthinker. Yes, I have a plan as to who I want to be and what I want to do towards communities in Sri Lanka and societies in Sri Lanka. But I don't overthink to the extent that it really like bugs me, But I've been in relationships that are overthinking. I've been around friends that are overthinking, and that's kind of affected me as well. So in that context, if you are an overthinker, how would you tell them to deal with that?
So let's move away from the term overthinking, because it's not thinking too much. It's about thinking about too many. Example, you have to cross the road, there are mainly two aspects you need to think about. What vehicles are coming from the left, what vehicles are coming from the right, right? Now, there are other aspects you could incorporate. What if someone accidentally comes from the left when he's supposed to come from the right? What if this branch falls from the tree as I'm crossing the road? What if this freak building site nearby, something just gushes for the window? So then the many aspects that could possibly affect you crossing the road, you start to consider. So now when it comes to thinking, you need to consider what's the outcome required and what are the primary factors that are required to make this decision. Like at minimum, crossing the road left and right, right? In terms of a job or career, stability and future and passion. In terms of finding a partner, are we compatible? Do we have similar interests in life, right? But then what we do is we start adding on aspects that don't have primary importance in making the decision, and instead these are things that we feel we need to think about. Then your head starts to get boiled, because that's a never ending. It's like Alice and that rabbit hole, man. It's never ending, because if you could, there is like a billion and one things that could contribute to one decision. Like, where does it stop? Where does it stop? So what I think with overthinkers is that it needs to be the formula can be in terms of doing something. This aspect, right? Accept. If I can't accept, can I change? If you can't change, then bloody well accept. It's very binary. It's the thing is, getting to that point of making the binary decision is complex, because we're humans, and humans are just a bunch of emotions, right? Not just, but a bunch of emotions. And we fail to identify, like, it's in my mind. I know I'm explaining this in a very sort of linear, logical way. I know it's more complex than that, but we need to train our brains to thinking, is this contributing to the outcome? If not, why is it in my head? Is it because this person is important to me? Okay, then should it be part of the outcome? If yes, bring it in. If no, then ignore the bloody thing. The most stupid thing in a South Asian context is, what will people say? Who the bloody hell are people? Like, who is people? And like, this other thing is like, they say, who is they? Like, who is they? Like, so we just give this added value to these floating things that we can't sort of pinpoint on. And sometimes they don't really care, because they don't exist. And even if they cared, they have no sort of stake in this decision. So fuck them.
Absolutely, man. And I think the biggest thing that stops us from doing things that we love, or making decisions towards our betterment of our future, is that we're actually scared of judgment. And we don't even know where the judgment's coming from sometimes. So, like, for me personally, like, I'm not talking out of my ass, right? Like, me personally, like, when I'm even walking out and I don't feel good about how I look, or like what I wear, or like even like when I'm making a post, I'm not happy about how it looks. I'm just like, they won't like it. And I'm just like, who the fuck's they? Like, who is they? Like, do it. If you love it, fucking do it. You're doing it to make yourself happy. But yeah, anyway. But
so as a corporate trainer, most organizations I work with, so there's a perception of corporate training, especially in Sri Lanka, is where a kind of a middle to older person who's dressed properly, like, dressed in like proper shoes, shirt, tie, etc. So then I waltz into my training programs. I'm a crazy sneaker fan. So like, my colorful sneakers, I'm a crazy multicolored sock. I don't own a single colored sock, right? Everything is, so there's wearing that. Then I will wear like jogger pants and a sort of like a pineapple printed shirt, and I will walk into my training program, and nobody perceives me as the trainer, right? So it's really interesting. So like going up to the building, I can hear things like, don't know until what time this thing will go, don't know who's the person. So I can absorb, because they don't perceive me as a trainer, right? Until somebody said, like, like, aren't you worried that you're fighting a losing battle, right? Why are you positioning yourself as probably the guy who's helping the trainer than the trainer? I was like, who says I'm dressing up for them or not dressing up for them? Like, it's my show. I want to feel good, and this is how I feel good. Plus, imagine the surprise on their face when they assume like the helper dude is the dude who's doing the thing, and they're like, okay, pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely, man. And I also facilitate workshops here, and I like wear like a t-shirt and like my Converse shoes and jeans, and I just go in, and people are just like. But here, the thing is, here it's far more welcoming in Australia,
Yeah,
right? It's far more
yeah.
welcoming. But there, like you said, you're used to the suits or the shirts and the ties and the nice shoes and all of those things. And as soon as you walk in, they just say, "Oh, this guy's not the real deal." But you are. You shouldn't be judged by what you wear. You should be judged by how you present and how much value you bring to the people in the crowd. Which I love, man. I love that you said that. So, which brings me to my next question, right? The training ecosystem in Sri Lanka. Um, it's not that flooded, I feel like. I may be completely wrong. Prove me wrong. Please tell me I'm a fucking idiot. That's okay. Like, I feel like it's not flooded, but I feel like there can be more in terms of value adding. What do you personally think about the training scene in Sri Lanka and the competitiveness? And do you think we're doing justice to corporates, high schools, universities?
You see, the training space in Sri Lanka. So I've been doing this for about 10 years now, and I've seen various degrees of value propositions. So there are the people who have a wealth of corporate experience who try and bring in that experience into imparting knowledge. And I know tons of amazing people like that. Then there are people who can speak, who come out of various speaking programs, who try and get into the training space because they perceive training as a sort of speaking engagement. And some of them have good knowledge to share, some of them don't. Then there are people who think, okay, while I'm working my main gig, this is something that I can do part-time. And all of these come at different price points. Now, nobody is wrong because training in Sri Lanka is not a regulated industry. I think it should be. It isn't regulated. So there are various value propositions for clients to choose from. Now, there are some clients who make the choice based on merit. Like, what's my expected learning outcome? Is this the best person to deliver that learning outcome? And then that's fine. There are some clients who I'm fortunate enough to not have worked with, who make the decision based on ticking the box, right? I need to do this training. What's the cheapest option out there to do this training? Why should we pay this much to you when this person is doing the same training at this price? Go right ahead, man. Knock yourself out. Is the client happy? Yes, because the outcome was to tick a box. Is the training provider happy? Yes, because, they fulfill the client's requirement. So at various degrees of requirement, various needs are being served. But to answer the question in a macro sense, is the training industry, gaining or suffering? Well, if you have subpar products in a market and you have above par products in a market and various customers are there to consume all products, you might argue that, yeah, so everybody's happy, no? But maybe they don't know what they're missing out on. Maybe they don't know that for the extra money they pay, they're going to get 4x the return on that. So it's really hard to point fingers because sometimes people say, this is all I want. I want to pay this much for this. I don't want all of that. And then it's hard to say, hey, no, that's not what you want. This is what you want, right? It's really hard to say. But you could also argue to say like, hey, maybe if you tasted this, you might really want this type of thing. That being said, I think that if you are trying to do something good and not just make a buck, if you're trying to actually add value and not just copy shit off the internet and, go and put it on a PPT and, tell them, then you're doing a good job. But if you're a decod who is like, hey, what's this topic? Let me research. Here we go. All right. Copy paste. Welcome to my program. Thank you. Goodbye. And you're just...
Fahad got stuck for a second. Oh, there. You got cut off, man. You got cut off after you said copy paste into a PPT and do a presentation. Sorry, connection.
And I said special place in hell for you.
I feel like the internet purposely cut you off on that one.
I think it did.
Man, that's awesome. But yeah, man, I just have two more questions for you, man. I know you're busy, and I know since everything has gone online, you have to go on overdrive to make content and all of those things and put it out there. But I want to ask, dude, What do you think? Obviously, I'm an advocate for mental health. I've gone through a few things in life that have made me an advocate for mental health and push it in Sri Lanka as much as I possibly can. But I want to know, like, what do you think about mental health in the corporate space? Have you seen, as a trainer, issues that are not being dealt with? And how do you think best that we can slowly not like alienate them? Because as soon as you say mental health, they'll be like, oh, I'm good. But like, how do we like slowly like breach into that and make it like a normal topic so that people take care of themselves?
I think the aspect of mental health is being dealt with at work, or not dealt, but catered to at work in varying degrees. First, it started by saying things like work-life balance, because, like you say, the word mental is a pisangko to a taboo type word in a Sri Lankan. It shouldn't be, but it is. So then first came work-life balance. Then came this aspect called wellness, um, and then mindfulness, or bringing more holistic aspects to your work. So there are lots of corporates who are doing these things, and even though they don't call it mental well-being, you can see that these are factors that contribute to it. And you step into a couple of these programs, and it's very empathy based, it's very emotional need based, it's very EQ based. So a lot of things are happening. It's just that we're not used to, like, say, for example, large companies like even garment factories. They have counselors, they have people to talk about their problems. So a lot of these things are happening, except it's not with the common problem label. So the common problem label is dealing with mental health. So it's happening based on the symptoms of ensuring wellness. So there are wellness officers, there are wellness workshops, there are wellness days. They're bringing various other practices like yoga. They're bringing aspects like mindfulness workshops. So what they're trying to do is this aspect that's been alienated for so long, because a lot of the work is like very industrial nature work, right? You come, you do, you go. We don't care about how you feel. There are various aspects that are being brought in to consider those aspects. So I don't think it's fair to say that that some people say no, Sri Lanka has a long way to go. I think everybody has a long way to go, and it's a never-ending journey. And I think that could Sri Lanka do more? Yes, definitely. Could the world do more? Yes, definitely. Could the corporates do more? Yes, definitely. But also at the same time, because I work with a lot of these corporates, you have to appreciate what they're currently doing. Do more? Yes, by all means. Are you currently doing? Yes. Is it
Instagram and internet. I think you're back now. Yes, you're back now.
I wasn't even saying go to hell. I don't know why the internet cut us off this time.
But yeah, man, I completely agree. You basically set out the message that I wanted to hear. Like, oh, and I think it's an important message that has to keep going. We can always do more. It's just that, like, do people want to do more is the other question. So thanks for answering that question as well, man. And my last question, Paul, to you is, firstly, I want to thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule. I know that every trainer out there is adapting to online methods of continuing work and continuing their revenue streams, and it's a great time to be like an online trainer as well. So thank you so much for like taking your time, coming on board. I feel like we could like still tackle like more topics in the future as well, which I would love to have you on board when I have this like a weekly thing or something like that. If you're up for it. But in the
Of
meantime, man,
course.
oh yes, yes, fuck yes.
Also do like thanks so much for reaching out, and I think thank you so much to Ariane for putting up that story, because it helped us connect, because we didn't like connect with each other earlier. It's been really it's been really cool. So I'll completely level with you here, right? I was like, is this going to be another session where we talk about the same shit that everybody is talking about these days? Because I didn't know, uh, and when it did happen, I was like, this is very different. This is very needed, unique, and it was an entire different aspect.
the internet is not being friendly today. And you're back. You. It's like don't compliment the show.
Yes, stop it.
Stop it. No, but I got the message, man. Thank you so much, buddy. I'm glad that you enjoyed this because I feel like there's enough going on, man. I started this whole show because I was going through mad anxiety the first 2 days this whole curfew situation happened. And I was like, if I'm feeling this way, there's other people feeling this way. And these people don't want to go through the news and what's going on around the world over and over and over again. There's enough people doing that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to help people feel a little less lonely through like topical discussions and like a bit of fun as well. So like, I'm glad you enjoyed, man. But yeah, man, I just have one more question for you. I ask every single guest. Kindness is a very important thing in my life. So I just want to ask you, what does kindness mean to you in your life?
A lot of people use this word, right? Treat others how you would like to be treated. I don't completely agree with that. I think it's treat others how they would like to be treated. So sometimes things that you like, other people might not like. So this idea that I have about treat others how they would like to be, it's not a thought that I had. So a couple of years ago, this friend of mine called Sifan, he brought about this thought in my head. And for me, kindness is about it's not about going out of your way. It's not about an act. It's about a way of living, right? So kindness isn't something that you can say you did, like, I was kind, or that was an act of kindness. I don't think it's that. It shouldn't be that. I think kindness is just who you are as a person. Like, are you just doing things for the sake of doing, not expecting a return? Are you doing things not expecting merit, not expecting heaven or hell? You're just doing it because here's another living being, not just a human, man, like a living being, and you're just like I don't expect jack shit. I'm just being. I'm not hurting you. Just living and let live. And if you need a small push, you can ask me. I'll ask you if you need a push. So for me, I prefer not to highlight things as acts of kindness. I prefer to look at kindness as it's just how you live. And what's your scene? I support your scene. You don't support my scene, that's cool too, man. Let's just chill the fuck out. So for me, kindness is life. I don't think that an act of kindness, or I was kind, or this person was kind. If you're not kind, you're not living. You're just taking up oxygen.
Love it. I love it. That's a beautiful way, and that's another way of thinking to me as well, man. Thank you so much for putting it out there. It has been an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you so much for taking your time. Before you go, please tell people where they can find you in terms of social media, any future projects you want people to tag along for, and any final thoughts.
Thanks for that, man. So on social media, Instagram, Fahad Farook. You can find me. I think my handle is Fahad_Farook. I think I'm about. I'm 100 people away from 5K, which I'm like really looking forward to. Apart from that, I'll be starting a whole bunch of new stuff in terms of a podcast. The Double F podcast, the Fahad Farook podcast, is coming soon. 4 episodes have been recorded, going to be released soon. You can find me on YouTube. I have a lot of Singlish stuff on YouTube. So if you're Sri Lankan, please come along. Presentation skills, how you think, how you feel, how you act, all of that shit's there. So LinkedIn, if you're kind of, that, you can find me on LinkedIn as well. So yeah, hopefully follow and let's go on this journey. See where it ends up. Nobody gets out alive.
Nobody gets out alive. I love it. But thank you so much. Fazlun, yes, you can click the above and follow him. His profile will be like near the top section. Fahad, thank you so much, brother. I will make sure to link all of your profiles and stuff at the end of the day. But also, I just want to know if you need any support from me in the meantime. After these things are settled, please don't think this is just a one-time thing and then I fuck off. Please let me know if there's anything that I can help with, and I'll be more than happy to help as well, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks so much for reaching out. This has been amazing. Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely, man. Have a good day, yeah?
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you, buddy. So, guys, that was Fahad. That was an absolutely refreshing conversation. He clearly knows his shit. He has done his research. He's very empathetic in the way he thinks as well. Give him a follow. Show him some support. He's doing some awesome stuff online as well. So, show him some love. Why not? Why not? Give me 2 reasons why not. If you don't have to, then follow him. So yeah, guys, I'm going to take a quick. So we have one of the guests wanted to shift later on in the night, so I have a longer break today. But I will be back in 1 hour and 11 minutes. My math is really bad, but I will be back soon.